What is going on, everybody? This is Audible Sports Kids. Welcome everyone. It's Brett and Jeff here today. How's it going, Brett?
Good. Good.
Yeah, it's good. Everything's good. The world, it's going through some stuff. Obviously, this is sports. We don't talk about it much, but keep your
Yep, the
loved ones
world's
close.
the world's an interesting place at the moment.
Oh yeah, just there's some serious stuff going on, but let's not talk about that. Let's try to get some stuff out there to let keep people informed about other things. Maybe put some people in a better place. So hey, let's do what we think we know and talk some sports. So first off, I feel like it'd be kind of good to talk about the NBA lockout. That's pretty much at the
No,
highest peak.
MLB.
Did I say NBA?
Yes, you did, sir. Though.
Well, that's silly me. There hasn't been a NBA lockout for like 12 years now. Or 10 years. 10 years. But yeah, let's talk about the MLB, the baseball. Major League Baseball. I could ALNL baseball, however you want me to say it, so I don't say basketball. Let's talk about their lockout a little bit.
Yep. It's all about the luxury tax.
And right now, yeah, it's really about the luxury tax, vet minimum. They've kind of agreed already, to a lottery system for the draft, because that was another big two. Tanking was, the major issue, and right now it's about money, because, these small market teams aren't really paying a lot of money for their players, and just going around, you just got to look at the Pittsburgh Pirates for the last, 60 years to really.
The Brewers. You could use the Brewers as an example too.
That's too. Didn't they recently just got rid of one of their best players too, if I remember right. I'm kind of talking a little bit out of myself. Baseball obviously isn't something I know too much about, but
speaking. Oh, sorry for cutting you off there.
No,
but the lottery system, I know they've been even talking about that in the football, and the NFL as well.
Yeah, you could definitely see that a little bit more after the accusations from the Miami team have went out, because of they don't want remember the tanking for Tua.
I kind of like that though. I think it makes it more interesting.
I do too, especially when you see different situations of players who had a very, very, very small % chance to get the first overall pick. Like, look at the Bulls the year they drafted Derrick Rose. It was almost impossible for them to get it. But then again, there's also situations you'll see a lot where could there have been some, collusion into it? Look at the Patrick Ewing pick in New York. That's one that there's a lot of speculation that was kind of a, something planned. So, there's always some stuff.
My only worry with the lottery system in any sport, and it doesn't really happen in basketball, really, but is what happens if the player doesn't want to go to that team?
That is true, and you don't really probably see it within the players, but you also kind of see it like when Zach LaVine, this one just kind of popped in my mind when he was drafted to Minnesota. He, mouthed some words on the television that you definitely But there's not been a situation like Eli Manning who
that's what I was thinking of. Phillip Rivers and Manning, that whole situation.
Yeah. But at the same time, I think basketball is almost able to get away with a lot of their kind of things because of how small draft picks kind of are.
Well, baseball's even smaller.
It's even bigger. I thought there's like.
But what I mean by
rounds.
that is, yeah, but they don't. How often does a first round pick actually start in the majors? It's rare.
That is true. Yeah, plus with the farm system, and it takes.
Because I know a few. I've known a few guys over the years that got drafted. They got a pretty decent amount of money up front, maybe a couple $200,000, $250,000. They played a year of minor league baseball. They hated it, so they were done.
Or you see players that get drafted high or, decent, and they're not even like. I think Jameis Winston is an example of this. He was drafted, while he was still in college, and obviously, at that time he already won the Heisman. He just kind of played baseball because he loved it.
Russell Wilson too.
Russell Wilson, Tom Brady. You see these guys who are like, hey, we're not gonna play baseball, so it's almost like they draft them just to sometimes to bring them out to like. Russell
I think
Wilson
they want
was
to
even
try
traded.
to persuade them because if you make it to the majors in baseball, you make more money than you do in football. So,
That's true.
But the thing is, when you get drafted in football, your odds of starting or playing in any of those, even the top 3 rounds, is very high.
Yeah. And something even to consider with a baseball, you get a lot more money from the team, but how many? Just think about this right now. How many, without knowing that they're like seeing them in baseball uniforms, how many baseball players could you just recognize?
Like by their faces?
By their faces.
Not many.
Exactly. And, that's a league where it's kind of like basketball where they're not wearing a lot, yet I can tell you, we're pretty big into football, but you could still recognize a lot more football players. So
I would recognize a lot of basketball too, but baseball I would struggle. Just because.
And that just kind of goes to show the popularity itself. Yeah, baseball's always been the super pop, it's America's pastime and stuff, but it's lost a lot of ground between, football and basketball within the last, I would say pretty much since the Jordan era, really.
I think the way they do their draft system is why it doesn't incorporate the fans like basketball and football does. You know what I mean? Like there is no, we got a sweet first round pick. I want to watch him play. You know what I mean?
That is true, and it's definite. It's interesting because NBA definitely has their G League and a farm system, but nothing.
Yeah, but when do you see a
compares to the
first
farm
round
system
pick
of
go to the
baseball.
G League? You don't.
Yeah, that's true. You normally see those.
That's like seeing a first round pick go to the practice squad in NFL. I just think that's one of the things that MLB might. Maybe it's not possible, but I think fans get more into when you like that first round, second round pick. They're happy, they're excited, they want to buy his jersey. Basketball and football, they do that.
Yeah, that's true. Sometimes it takes many years for someone, and then by then is it worth? Yeah, it's interesting, and then you look at kind of the international experience, kind of. These a lot of other countries. It's a lot bigger, kind of over there. So like you see in Japan, the Japanese league, like Shohei Ohtani, like he was over there for years and made a super big name for himself before he even came over here. So he came with
basketball and baseball really make a lot of money overseas. Football is the only sport that we have that really doesn't make any money except in the U.S.
And I think that'll actually start to change a little bit. You see that there is, the movement of teams. The NFL will start playing more games internationally. How much will that help? I don't know. There are.
Yeah, but I don't think they will start playing our American football. That's the thing.
There are leagues over there. Like if you remember the German league when that.
No, I know, but it's just.
I forget his name.
I would say it's one of the least played sports in the world compared to baseball, basketball.
Soccer, obviously.
Yeah.
Obviously, soccer is the number one popular sport.
Football.
Yeah, the real football. It's interesting when you think of the popularity of baseball, and now with this lockout, and you see a lot of fans that they're not really taking it. Like you look at these polls of how players or how people kind of are looking at each side, like, are they pro players, pro the owners? There's a lot less that are just like, they don't care. They want to see the game's done.
I think some people just like the experience of the game at baseball.
Oh, it's a great experience.
You tailgate, you hang out, and then you go into the game. And sometimes you just more experience and walk around and see the stadium and eat some good food. And
there's a lot of
people who do that.
Yeah, and a lot of times that's in a lot of these areas. That's all these teams are good for. When you look at these kind of small market teams, especially.
Yeah.
Because they're not spending much money, and they still are getting enough money to go
the thing is, the tickets are cheaper, Yeah. That's the key for baseball. So it's more like where, football's the priciest. And then
football, you also have to think of how often these teams are playing, There's a lot of other attributes into it, but obviously, it's not.
It's interesting. I still like baseball games, but I mean, I'm not. When I was I think I liked it more as a child. To be honest, like when I was a kid, I enjoyed it more. Now it's can be at times boring to me.
It's definitely interesting when you look at the popularity of all major sports, and how popular they are, and a lot of comes down, how popular they are. They obviously get more revenue, and when you see, I think baseball, it all almost unfortunate with how I want to say unpopular it is, yet it's still obviously very popular. Just with how historical of a game it is with American history and everything that.
Well, just think about this: how much money they're losing by how many people take off work to go to opening day, and it's not going to happen this year.
Yep. That's, I mean, sometimes all people care about opening day,
I mean, I
all
met
star.
Jesse at a bar. Um, to like we went to Brewers game on opening day. Like we were on a bus. That's when I met Jesse.
It's baseball it's just different than all the other sports. I don't even know what to what to say really.
I mean, I
It's
kind of one thing that I miss with baseball is I liked the older stadiums with the poles and the obstructed views and just the character they had. Like here, I'll be honest with you. I drive past the Brewers Stadium and I don't like the name now because it's American Family Field. I liked Miller Park because it was Miller Park for years.
Yeah, that's. I
And
mean, that's
it's
kind of a thing with all the sports. Is they get these kind of teams to buy the rights of the name and or the stadium kind of itself, and it's interesting. I mean, that's kind of how America has been for a while. When you look at even buildings, I mean, you look at the Sears. Oh, I mean, it's not called the Sears anymore, but
I know, but that's what I think of it as though.
yeah. But at the same time, it was the name given. It's a company that named rights. It's interesting how.
Well, it was actually Sears.
Yeah, that's
You
what
know,
I know. That's what I'm saying. So
I don't know. My whole thing with the lockout in baseball is they make so much dang money already. Though not all the players,
no,
some.
and that's partially why, because the main thing from what I understand of why there wasn't a deal made, this week or since when we record this, since we hopefully by the time this comes out there will be one, but was because the Players Association and all the NBA players were wanting higher um minimum contracts while upping it a certain amount each
You
year.
said
And
NBA again.
I'm gonna keep doing that. My apologies. But the owners, they're kind of.
How does this affect the farm system? Do you know?
I couldn't tell you, but I'm pretty sure that's another kind of thing too. Is that they will put a player like on the farm system or bring them up at a certain time to where they can keep them under their farm contract for kind of the minor contract or whatever
And they're
when
not
they bring
paid
them up.
anything in the farm system.
Oh, definitely not.
I
So
mean, if you're a high pick, you get a nice little chunk of money, a signing bonus. But otherwise, if you're a normal guy who got basically just signed, not drafted, you're not making. It's hard to live off that, actually.
yeah, and professional sports contracts are probably some of the most complicated things to look at, especially when you look at what the NFL is doing right now with all their kind of movement of money to get under caps and whatnot. And that's another situation too, is the fact that there isn't a salary cap technically with baseball. I mean, the luxury tax is something there, but
I don't like that with baseball and basketball that you can just pay more money and
at the same
I
time,
like a hard cap. I like a
but
hard
that
cap.
hard cap at the same time, if it's not moving at the right percentage of where these players, like say, the owners are getting like they're increasing like maybe 20% in how much money they're like getting from everything. Yet the salary cap only goes up say 5-10%. These are just random, these aren't any particular numbers. And you can see that a lot of times with these NFL teams, the salary cap isn't going up as much as how much these teams are making money. But at the same time, then we'll see a situation like the baseball does with the small and big market teams. Some teams like, hey, say the Cowboys. The Cowboys are always going to spend all the money in the world to get their guys, and you'll see a team, I'm not sure, maybe a Jacksonville team that barely spends any money in a situation like if there was no salary cap. The salary
I
cap
could say
does,
Cincinnati too.
yeah, but with the salary cap, it's these numbers are definitely more out there, and like I mean, I don't think there's any punishment for being so much under, but at the same time, you're almost kind of there's some enforcement in there because there is kind of that hard number.
They should try to get. I mean, the NFL. I don't know if they do, but they should try to. They shouldn't be 30 million under.
Well,
In my opinion.
That's something too, though. With the salary cap, you're going to have situations like that. There's been times where teams have in history where they haven't been able to get under the cap, and they've had to spend. They've been fined draft picks because they couldn't get their salary under the cap, and that's something you have to deal with if you want a cap.
I think some teams will. It's just like paying luxury tax. They might eat it if they wanted to be over. They might just eat the draft picks. Like, okay, bye.
Yeah, and then
we haven't really seen it yet, but I feel like eventually that's gonna happen.
You've seen some of this in hockey, actually, though. That there was these situations last year with, or the year before with, I think it was Tampa. They had they were allowed to be under or over the cap or something, and so they technically had the highest paid team, and they ended up winning it because people argue because they paid more than they should have, and then you get a situation like, oh, that team is worth more, they had better players because they're able to pay more, which obviously isn't always the situation. Oh, that's part of when you look at baseball, there is no salary cap, so they're able to pay a lot more. So you have these big market teams where in a league like the NHL or the NFL where there's that salary cap, there's not these teams that can take that financial advantage, where you would see maybe teams like the Yankees, or not the Yankees, but a team like the Yankees, I would say the Cowboys, where they would use a lot more money. I mean, Jerry Jones always says.
Look at the Cowboys are always on TV.
Exactly. So they would definitely be one of these big market teams we'd see pay for a lot more players. But I don't know. It's tricky when it comes to financials and the lockout and what players want, what owners want. Most of the time, it always leans one way, especially when
Well, I think they're at the owners want to keep it at 210 million. And then the players want it to go up to 230, 240.
So it'll be interesting to see how this finally comes away. I mean, they're already starting to cancel games, which means everybody's going to lose some money. So it's going to come to a point.
They don't get paid when they don't play, so they're losing money.
Yeah, so it's going to come to a situation
everybody's losing.
Yeah, everybody's losing. No one's winning when the games aren't played. Let's just hope at this point there's a season, because if there's not, then oh boy, to say the least. But that's a little bit of baseball. I mean, we kind of went all over the place with that talk.
Yeah, but we were using other things, when we were talking about it, just because the way baseball is doing this, if other sports adapt to this method, we could see more lockouts.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, there was the worry that there was going to be one in football not too long ago. There's always that worry that there's always, I mean, with any unions, there's always that kind of worry. So it just comes down to how almost ornery each side wants to become, because hey, it makes sense. I mean, get as much money as you can, so someone's not going to want to give up as much money as they can. So it's always, life nowadays just comes down to money, and we're seeing that. But I mean,
well, money makes the world go around, my friend.
Oh yes, it does. And speaking of,
my Russian currency is worth nothing now. Damn it.
Well, that's on you for even thinking about having rubles, because it wasn't worth that much to begin with, even before all this.
Now it's worth less than a penny.
Yep, that's bad. I mean, hey,
that's our world facts for the day, folks.
Hey, if you want to get into Russian bonds, now's the time, I guess. Just kidding, don't do that. But hey, speaking of money and everything, let's maybe look at a league that has all these high money contracts other than baseball. So basketball, I said last week we're going to talk a little bit more about basketball, but hey, let's talk a little bit about how we think the season's going to wrap up, and kind of how we think certain players are going to do and whatnot. So let's just start off with the big guns right here. The NBA.
Well,
let's just start off with the big guns. NBA MVP. What are you thinking about this one?
it's tough because you could pick what's his Booker from Phoenix, because Phoenix has got the West pretty much locked up.
That's true.
I mean, as a Bulls fan, I want to say DeRozan, and I actually think he deserves it. But if the Bulls, the East is wide open, meaning the first top 2, 3 teams are bouncing back and forth.
we're gonna see a lot of movement in the East with these next couple, several weeks. But I'm a big fan of DeMar. I liked seeing.
I
what
think
he's
you got to
doing.
also, you got to put Giannis in there. But
Of
Giannis is
course.
going to always be in there, I think.
But I think there's a player that's having a way better season than anyone. He's having one of the best seasons of his career. He's always kind of in this situation, and not to mention he now has become part of a duo that a lot of people are saying could be unstoppable.
Embiid?
Oh yes, Joel Embiid. I've not seen him play a lot, but when he does play, just wow. He's like,
I know that he's developed his game more.
oh yeah, definitely. Hey, he's been saying to trust the process, and people have been trusting it for a while, and he plays very good. He's a center that can do it all. He's been having an amazing season. He's up there for just about anything.
Well, look at the big guys like Carl. They can shoot now, and they're more agile. They're not because if you look at the centers back in the day, they were more stiff. They had to stay down low. It's different.
Hakeem Olajuwon could move. That's where a lot of people look
No,
at
no,
the
I
footwork.
know, but I'm just saying
he's different. He's
look at how the game evolved.
oh
Pretty
yeah.
much.
Everyone wants to do everyone wants to be able to do everything offensively. And look at who won last year, and he's up there again, Nikola Jokic, and he looks like a quarterback out there with the passes he makes. He's just dotting people.
Well, he's huge too.
Yeah, oh yeah, but he's super good, and he's like the reason the Denver is where they're at. They're kind of missing a lot of their top guys right now, and he's kind of keeping them kind of intact, to say the least.
He's keeping them afloat.
Yeah, but I definitely gotta go Joel here. I think he's gonna end up winning it, and I think he just kind of deserves it the most so far this year. You think DeMar though?
If the Bulls finish in the 1 seed, I think DeMar gets it, in my opinion.
Yeah, it'll be tough. They have the third, strong, toughest schedule of kind of finish season. Now we're already seeing, with these last couple, it's gonna be a long second half. But hey, I can see it if he kind of keeps it up. It's gonna be hard, but I would love to see it.
I could see Giannis too if the Bucks start winning more, because it's just he is the reason they win. So completely.
And someone I think we have to talk about now because of how good he's already starting off the second half is Ja Morant.
Yeah.
He's averaging probably about 50 points so far in the second half of the season. But he's just so good. He's super dominant.
He's different.
He can shoot. He reminds me a lot about, Russell Westbrook with his athleticism. But he's up there for MVP now with how great he's kind of going. He's obviously the most improved player so far of the year, and he's just kind of taking that Memphis team to new heights. The West is crazy good on how these teams are. Obviously we talked a little bit. You already said the Suns, the Warriors.
The Suns are 4 or 5 games ahead.
Yeah, but they still gotta worry a little bit. Chris Paul's not gonna play till maybe the playoffs start. Devonta Booker just now got recently on COVID list. So they gotta be careful a little bit if they want to stay at the tip top, especially with this Warriors team that seems to be getting healthier as the season goes, especially with Clay playing more and more. I know just talking about Memphis, they're really
still
really good.
I don't think you can count LA out yet.
I'm starting to.
I know, but I just think they're going to make a little run at the end here and make the playoffs at least.
Seems like everywhere LeBron goes, it just comes to a point where a team gets so messed up that everyone just counts on LeBron way too much. And
well, look at the roster they could have if LeBron wasn't there.
Well, if they would have stuck around with a lot of their guys,
with all those young guys, they'd
not
have a
traded
pretty good
for Anthony
team.
That's another thing too. Anthony Davis is not really been playing, and when he does
Injury
play,
prone.
he's been playing horribly. I would say so. It's unfortunate, but at the same time, it's. I mean, I'm kind of.
It is what it is.
It
Yeah.
is what it is. But speaking of teams making a run, who's your from the East and West your maybe locks to make it to the NBA Finals?
It's a tough one.
It really is, especially with how the East is right now.
I
And
think as much as I love the Bulls, I think the Heat are the team to watch in the East. I really do.
yeah, I mean, obviously, once the Nets get all healthy again, there's someone you got to watch out for.
I just
I
don't
love what the
see the
Celtics are
chemistry.
doing defensively. The Cavs are a team kind of slept on right now, but they're looking really good, and that's a team that could shake things up. There's just a lot of these teams you can see them kind of shaking things up. I don't think the Bulls, they're not playing really. They're a team where it's like one injury and they're kind of eh.
Well, that's kind of the Bucks are the same too.
Yeah, but as long as Giannis is playing, I mean, we saw what he
Yeah,
did in the
but
finals
he
last year.
needs
It's
he
pretty much
needs
all him.
Middleton. He needs Middleton to score 15, 20 points though at least.
I mean, yeah, and he can get that from him. I mean, the Bucks are definite. I mean, obviously, whatever you have it's just tough because there's a lot of top. I wouldn't even say it's top heavy in the East. It's just so many teams. I mean, 76ers, they're a team.
Yeah, I mean they're in there too. I mean you go to the West and if Phoenix stays
Denver healthy
healthy,
could make a run. Phoenix,
yeah,
I
Phoenix
mean, Golden
healthy.
State,
Yeah,
Memphis.
Golden State would be my pick right now.
I mean, yeah,
Just based on history and past stuff.
Plus, they're another team too that they're not 100% healthy either. I mean, James Wiseman, their first round pick from not too long ago. If they can get him back and kind of at least something from what they want from him, that's a very good center that could come off off the bench and play pretty well.
Yep.
I mean, whenever you have Curry, Clay, Draymond, they're a really deep team this year. I don't know how they do it every single year to be this deep. It seems like I think I gotta go Golden State from the West. This is tough though from the East.
It is tough, yeah.
I mean, right now Brooklyn is the top from the East when it comes to money projections on who's gonna make it or who's gonna win it. Brooklyn is the best from the East at plus 600. Milwaukee 650. Philly, Miami.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, because there's still a lot of season left, so it's gonna
there's a
flip
team that
flop around, and
there's definitely.
I mean, there's teams that are one injury away from not even making the playoffs, or barely making it.
You know what? I would love to see this matchup. Give me Boston and Golden State.
That's a good one.
I
That's interesting.
love kind of what Boston is doing defensively, and I think it could work. I don't know. They've always kind of struggled in the past in the postseason. I think that'd be a fun finals. I mean, obviously Boston is Boston when it comes to the NBA, and
Yeah.
they have their stars, Jason Tatum, Brown. What are you thinking?
I mean, I just think it's up in the air. I mean, I like what Boston's doing too. I don't know.
It's tough.
They're hot right now, but they were inconsistent to start the season. So
I mean, a lot of with every league, it comes down to whoever's hot. Once things start going and get close to the end. So it really and who's healthy. Obviously, Brooklyn. Everyone thought could make it, and then they started getting completely injured in the playoffs. So sometimes it just comes down to that. So
yeah,
you can
definitely.
say someone now, and half the team gets injured, and they don't even make the playoffs.
Yep.
But yeah, it's tough.
Oh yeah, it is definitely.
But this has probably been so far one of my favorite NBA seasons. It's just I haven't been paying much attention to it as of late. I mean, thanks to obviously the Bulls help with that, but it's fun to watch this. There's so many teams. It seems like normally most seasons it's between for the longest time is Golden State Cleveland, and we're I'm getting farther away from that. It feels like, and we're seeing a more generation of not loaded teams. Yeah, teams will have maybe two completely great all-stars, but we're not seeing like the loaded, what the Nets tried to do, or
Yeah.
I mean,
And they failed miserably at it.
yeah. So it'll be fun. I mean, it can change every year, but I'm ready. I'm ready to watch some basketball now that football's over. I mean, it seems like we're not going to even be able to watch any baseball. Hey, March Madness is coming up. That's something that we'll keep, give you guys out.
That's why I brought it up the other day or yesterday.
Yeah, we'll give you guys a bracket for that. Maybe have a little contest for who has, the best bracket, and they might win something. Might have to do that.
Yeah, we can do that.
Oh, yeah.
For sure.
But, that's all we got for you. Want to talk a little bit about the lockout and kind of how we slowly see things kind of.
Yeah, and just talk about sports. So, we kind of we went back and forth to other sports, but we just want to keep you entertained. That's all.
Oh, yeah. We still got some real fun things coming out, in the future. Excited for. You'll hopefully see some things change here soon, and get to a more kind of structured, to say the least. So hey, just keep on with us. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, hit that bell notification on YouTube, hit the feedback wherever you're listening. If anyone ever wants to come on, just talk sports, learn something, we always say it and we mean it. Always come on. We're never shying away from anyone being on. So hey, shoot your shot.
Come join us sometime.
Slide in our DMs. I'm sure we'll reply. So with that, everyone have good week, good weekend. Stay safe out there. Hold your loved ones close, whatever you gotta do, and see ya.
Later.